All right, we are live. We're going to give everyone a few moments to tune in, get settled in. Hopefully, you're all home from work if you're on the East Coast.
I can check the Facebook group too for any comments. I can go in there.
Yes, I'm actually going to go in and share this live stream from the page as well into our group so we can be in multiple places at once.
That's what I'm doing with Kevin on Thursday. He's like LinkedIn Live, all these other places. I'm like, how are you streaming to all these different platforms? It's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I know
really cool.
everyone uses StreamYard nowadays, and I have not
Yeah.
gotten hip to the game yet, but that's okay. I think we'll get there. I don't know if it's going to let me share it into the group. I'll share it maybe afterwards if it's not going to let me. That's so weird. Normally I can just share it into, there it is, share to group.
Boom.
They move stuff around on you. All right, there we go. So we are officially live. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully you're all tuning in. We've had this event on the calendar for a little bit, and I am so excited for this conversation tonight with my friend Christina Fontana, who needs no introduction. She is such a powerhouse in this Facebook group and really have just been so excited for all of the work that we have been doing together in this space. I feel like since our book signing, whenever you hosted us all in Pennsylvania, it was such a powerful event. And you and I have kind of had this discussion that back then, this was like 6 months ago, almost probably. I feel like I really didn't even know what I was getting into. Like I just took this step in faith to be part of that book and write a book chapter, which I didn't even know if I'd be able to do because it was something I've always thought about doing, and then was just like, you know what, I feel called to this.
Yeah.
And it was just very powerful to get my story out there. And now I just really am excited because I feel like there's so much synergy that's happening in this movement as you're really curating this amazing conference for this healers and healthcare movement. And so I'm excited to bring you into this group and have everyone just get a little bit of a preview of why are we hosting this conference? Why am I going to be there? Why are all of these individuals going to be there?
Yeah.
Because it's such a unique group, right? Like there's so many people. When I saw the list of speakers, I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't miss this, like for sure, because when you get these types of individuals in a room together, like these are some really amazing thought leaders, if you want to use that word, but honestly, amazing people that I've met in the last couple of years. I feel like since COVID's kind of subsided a little bit and conferences have started to open back up, and now we're actually able to travel and be together in person, and there's just no replacing what it's like to be in the room with people who are truly passionate about making a difference in transforming healthcare, in supporting each other. And I think that's what's going to be so much fun and so exciting about this conference is, again, really just learning how we can all collaborate together to really be the change that we want to see. So I would love for you to tell us everything we can expect for this conference and what really was the impetus for you to decide, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put together a conference.
Yeah. So thank you for just prefacing with such a beautiful, just introduction of, what this really is. And it is a transformation. And you and I were talking before, and we've had many different conversations. I feel that we are ready collectively to step into healing. And that's what this is really about. It's empowering the healer in healthcare. And so when I got this vision, it really started from the book. And this vision dropped in for me last May. And I saw this group of people coming together, and I knew that it was going to be a collective book. I knew that I couldn't write this by myself. And so the evolution of that book was just really beautiful, because all of these people got together, these heart-centered healers, and we had 19 different people that contributed to the book. And Todd Urey, who, we all know who Todd is. He's not a pharmacist, but he's an honorary pharmacist. He wrote the foreword of the book, and there was just an energy and a momentum to it that I knew that was just, not just, but that was one piece of it. And then the healers in healthcare came through. I don't even know how that phrase came through for me, but I realized that is really what we are as pharmacists. Is we are really healers. We got into the profession to help our patients feel better. We're helpers. We want to be, nurturing to our patients. And so I started interviewing, Lauren, you were my first Healers in Healthcare show guest. And so I started to do that. I was like, oh, yeah, this is great. And I want to bring these amazing people together and really curate this experience that is going to help people to feel not just to leave empowered, but to learn about healing, to connect with other experts in our space. Maybe you come to this conference and you meet someone like Delon Canterbury, and you're like, wow, I had no idea I was interested in geriatric deprescribing. That's the beautiful thing about energy. And we're going to talk about that today, is that so often we feel like as pharmacists, like we're very analytical, like we have to stay in this box that, it's like after pharmacy school, community pharmacy, retail, hospital, that there are only these finite amount of opportunities. But what I want people to walk away with is just how many gifts that you already have within you that are waiting to be unlocked, that are waiting to be utilized and put into, value-driven programs and offers and services that you can share in the form of maybe a program or an entrepreneurial activity. And I want you to be networking with different people like Trish or Kelly or Lauren or Marina. So I knew that when I put this together, because those of you who have been following me for a while, that I have done a lot of different retreats, but the energy that was already around this, like I said, from the book that started last May, and then the Healers in Healthcare show, and then this movement, I'm like, the Elevate retreat needs to expire and we need to expand this. So that's really where this came from. And when I got the download, because I'm very intuitive and I call them downloads, they're bits of information that when I meditate a lot and I receive, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be a lot, but I know that this is going to help our profession to really move us forward into a new paradigm. That's really what this is. Yes, we have nutrition and functional medicine and all of these different things, the medicine that our patients are taking. And I feel that there's a deeper layer of healing that I want to bring so that we are creating a domino effect of healing in our healthcare system, because we know that there's a lot of dysfunction, to be honest, even in, the work environment of, a lot of times, well, I know I'll speak from my own experience. Working in a retail setting, it was really hard for me and my nervous system. So I want people to have options. I want you to come to this experience. And maybe for you, it's like you stay part-time pharmacy and you have something else. There's no right or wrong. You create whatever you want. But I want you to know and walk away with a solid, actionable plan of taking your idea to implementation. And we're going to do a lot of transformation work too. I know, Lauren, we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. I want you to walk away with a high quality group of people, heart-centered servant leaders that you can lean on and say, hey, I have a question. Hey, I want to go into Lauren's group. Hey, I want to go, the functional medicine path, whatever that is for you. There are going to be people that you're going to be connecting with, and your mind is going to be blown when you walk away from this experience, because not only are we doing all that, we're going to be having fun. We're going to be doing, dancing. We're going to be connecting, eating together. You're going to leave with lifelong friends. So this experience, it's an immersive experience for the healer in healthcare that's ready to really unleash that next level of evolution for you and your business and really your consciousness, if we want to really get deep. So
I love it. I am so excited for it. And again, I think the timing is really perfect, because you mentioned consciousness. And I think that's a topic, at least for me, I am seeing it everywhere now. It wasn't something I was familiar with really before this year. And specifically, I went to Blair Telemeyer's retreat in Costa Rica, and there was so much of a focus on what is consciousness, what does that word mean? And it's awareness, right? It's not just following the status quo, staying on autopilot, and just moving through life, wondering what's going to happen. It's waking up to your potential and realizing you have choices every day that you get to make as to what kind of life you want to lead, what kind of business you want to run, or job you want to have, or family you want to create. It's this really holistic approach, right? Which again, it all makes sense, right? You're all in this group for functional medicine because you already know that it takes this really holistic approach for people to find healing, that we can't just give a pill for an ill or, continue to eat a standard American diet, right? We can't be stressed. I think we all know these things. We understand healthy lifestyle. But what I'm really starting to find, and I found this was true for myself, I was doing all of the functional medicine things around like eating healthy, working out, had figured out hormone issues with functional medicine testing and was working on all of those things and supplements, like doing the full functional medicine approach. But I keep finding now that there's one little piece of a functional medicine approach that kind of gets overlooked. And if you're familiar with IFM training, you're probably have seen the matrix, right? Which I love that it's called that, because I even think that's kind of a fun coincidence that that's what we call it. But it talks about your, kind of antecedents and genetic predispositions to things, which that can really even be a whole nother discussion. We think about it in terms of just DNA, but really what we're starting to understand is that there's more than just DNA in the physical sense, right? There's ancestral and generational traumas, or, things that can be passed down, not in the physical sense, but in, as you've talked about, like an energetic sense. And for me, a lot of those things, they didn't really click whenever I, was learning about functional medicine. Those things weren't really talked about, right? Like I've done a lot of mental health work for myself over the last few years and gone through therapy that probably should have been doing all my whole life, right? But even from like the mental health approach, it's still not quite getting at the root cause for a lot of people. So I'm really starting to be curious and research and seek out more of these deeper explanations for things around this energetic component and even the spiritual component, right? And that's where, like I said, we have a matrix and it talks about your modifiable lifestyle factors. And there are things like connection and community and relationships and stress management and genetics that are all in there. But then in the middle of the matrix is where that mind, body, and spirit component is. And I feel like that spirit piece really kind of gets overlooked. And, whether you're religious or not, it's not necessarily about that. It's again more of this like energetic and spiritual layer of healthcare that I'm just fascinated by lately.
Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you think that plays into this healers and healthcare movement and in the conference,
Yeah.
because I know this is an area you've got a lot of knowledge and training and experience and understanding in.
Yeah, so I love that we're talking about this. This is the time. Like I said, I really feel, for me, this all started with my own trauma. And I feel like that's the part that I think is really missing. So when we learned in pharmacy school, even like what is the root of disease? It's, environmental toxins, physical trauma, you get into a car accident, maybe it's nutrition, hormonal, like all of the things, functional medicine, everything you talked about. But we never looked at trauma as in I had abuse as a child and it manifested in my body. And so I became fascinated with this. I actually got hypnotized back in 2009. And I started learning about the subconscious and about energy. And I know that, you have to be open to talk about these things, but I want to share about this because I feel that this is where we can really achieve healing for our patients and clients. So I started looking, it was kind of like my own awakening as to, well, why do I have an eating disorder? Why do I have anxiety? I looked at that little root cause chart that we learned in pharmacy and like, that doesn't answer why I'm sick. Why am I sick? So I started kind of uncovering all of these different modalities like Reiki and hypnosis and, rapid transformation and looking at some of those deeper layers of healing. And now I'm really fascinated with the nervous system. And I think it's really a multi-dimensional approach to healing because, we know this. I know everybody watching will know the autonomic nervous system, right? We have the sympathetic, we have the parasympathetic. Well, Dr. Stephen Porges invented the polyvagal theory, which is saying that there are actually blended states that happen where, when we're not in safety, when we don't feel safe because of a past trauma or we get triggered or whatever that is, then all of these stress chemicals are released, adrenaline, cortisol, and your body is responding to that. So a lot of people are in survival mode. And this has been studied too by Joe Dispenza. He talks a lot about energy and how, certain thoughts and certain environmental, even, within our own environment, that signals certain genes that turn on certain proteins that create this dysfunction and dysregulation within the body. So I really am now fascinated with how do we heal from a multi-dimensional layer, looking at, and this, the reason why I'm bringing it up right now related to this Healers in Healthcare conference is because we as healthcare professionals have this where, we have our own traumas that where we're bringing that into the interaction, and it's not making anybody bad or wrong or shaming anyone. It's just like, hey, let's be curious about, why do I have this people pleasing pattern? Or why do I go into a freeze response when X happens in my business? And it's really coming down to energetic efficiency. So you can have the entire blueprint of how to create a six-figure business, but if you have these blocks and barriers and trauma responses in the way, when you have an idea to get it to implementation, that's going to be all of the stuff in the middle of that is the trauma. It's, and we've all experienced trauma, whether it's been through our parents, through retail, farm, whatever, what your work environment, it could be any of that. So my goal is to help now empower healthcare professionals to say, okay, how can I regulate my own nervous system? Because the body informs the brain. So when you're dysregulated, your thoughts are trying to protect you. So your mind is going to say that's not safe. Your mind isn't going to say that, but you're going to start thinking thoughts like, oh, I really want to go to that conference, but like, should I, shouldn't I, should I? And then you're in the freeze response. So then you have the idea and you have that impulse to go, but then you don't actually implement. And it could be anything. It could be any decision in your business that you're like, hey, I really want to do this thing, but then all of the stuff comes up. because ultimately your body's trying to keep you safe. And that's what's happening with our patients as well. So if you think about disease, these patients are having these nervous system responses as well. And so, when they're in sympathetic, and they're having these urgent thoughts and, well, catecholamines and all of these things are happening within their own body. What do you think creates anxiety? It's the nervous system response, because that's how their brain is coping with it. Some people go like, I go to sympathetic, like fight or flight. Some people go more to the shutdown. So that's called dorsal vagal, where they go more into like a depressive state where they're numbing out and they're, maybe avoiding or procrastinating. And so it's just being aware of what is my go-to response and what are the thoughts that I'm thinking, and then learning through different, and we're going to be doing this actually at the conference, which I'm excited about. I'm going to be teaching you different neuro exercises to help you to regulate your nervous system so that you're more efficient with your energy. It's all about sustainability, having that idea to implementation be like this, right? So there's not that huge gap of like, going back and forth and having the the hem and hawing of like, should I do this, shouldn't I do this, and again, like, there's no judgment, it's just this is what's happening. So how do we help because the brain is a computer, how do we help your computer be efficient with your energy so that you're not exhausted and burnt out by your business, but you're actually like, hey, I want to do this, I'm going to do it, boom. So we're going to be working both on the nervous system part as well as taking your idea to implementation. So the other thing that you and I know I love talking about this too. It's like the 3D and 5D and all of that. And part of that conversation has to do with quantum physics and really understanding that we live in an energetic universe, that literally an atom is mainly energy. So it's 99.999% energy, 0.0001 physical. So everything is energy. So when you get out of that survival mode I was just talking about, which is the 3D matrix, you were talking about the word matrix, and you elevate your energy into the infinite possibilities that exist, guess what starts happening? You start having synchronicities, you have conversations like this, you attract new clients, you have so much more bandwidth to be able to hold more wealth and clients because you're working on your nervous system. You're also able to be present with people and connect with them. And you're able to attract all of these miraculous experiences. And like I said, every single thing that has happened in my life up until this point has been leading to this, like Joe Dispenza and, all of the different things that I've gone through with my healing. And now I want to bring this to healthcare because this is the key that I feel will unlock the door for so many miraculous healings to happen. Like, I want you, Lauren, to be being a leader and going and sharing new concepts and ideas and energy and consciousness and all of that and impacting your community. That is what this is about. It's not just about me. This is so much bigger than my event. This is all of us together, igniting each other, connecting, networking, collaborating for contribution. You talked about that little, I don't even know what that is, like where that's from, but you talked about kind of this, triangle of what is beyond collaboration. It's contribution. And that is what I want to happen to create this domino effect in our healthcare system. I could keep talking all day. I'm going to shut up right now because I'm like so passionate about this. So I'll let you talk. Sorry.
That's perfect. It's perfect. I love it. And I think that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted my group to get this little sneak preview of some of the types of discussions that are going to be happening at this conference, because it is not like any other conference that you're ever going to go to in your life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a typical pharmacy conference. It's not like a typical functional medicine conference, right? It's not a typical business conference. Like, this is truly bringing together all of these different facets that need to kind of intertwine. But what is going to bring it all together and make it make sense is what we're talking about. It really is like this next level is kind of what I've been referring to it as. And like with, thinking about like conventional medicine has kind of been like, we're already past that level. Like
Yep.
everyone here in this group knows, like, and everyone even in the conventional system itself knows it's broken. It is old news. And so functional medicine has been this really beautiful bridge. And for the last 7 years plus that I've been in this space, it's been so amazing to see more and more people coming into this. And there's going to be functional medicine speakers at this conference, which I am so excited about. Again, like 7 years ago, I was like the only person getting on stage and trying to talk about functional medicine at conferences. And now it's like we'll have entire, like segments on it. And like there's so many more people in the space now that can bring even more, like, again, because like you said, it's not just me trying to make this one movement of functional medicine pharmacists, right? Like I can't help every single patient in the world through a functional medicine approach by myself. Like it takes all of us working together and stepping out of that conventional space into this functional space. But where I also see this conference really being so important was, like you said, that when it comes to true healing, there are so many things that we as healthcare professionals, as healers in healthcare, need to learn and experience for ourselves to be able to then help truly transform our patients' health. And I'll give you just an example that I see this making sense is that in functional medicine, we sometimes end up with patients who are incredibly complex, and like they'll even do all of the different functional medicine interventions and hop from one practitioner to another and still not get well, right? Like conventional medicine's failed them, and now functional medicine even is almost failing them. And those are the types of patients where I really see that it's like, what if it's not just, mold toxicity or a fungal overgrowth or something? Like, why is your immune system in such overdrive that it can't annihilate something that's normally so common, right? Like it's this like over response or like complete under response that our bodies can have in this physical way whenever we're not able to unlock our innate healing components, right? Because at the end of the day, like if your idea of a functional medicine approach is that we're just going to keep on putting supplements or have to stay on an elimination diet forever, right? Like at some point, we should truly be able to bring our body back into healing, innate healing in and of itself that doesn't require this constant struggle to try another supplement, buy another device, do another elimination diet, right? And so much of that is like what you were saying. It's like, and I heard Joe Dispenza say this in a reel the other day. It was like, your body is a pharmacy. Your body makes its own drugs. That's what we're trying to tap into. And that's where a lot of this next level healing really comes into play.
Right. And I think too, as you were talking, I was thinking about even some of the, specifically related to trauma, but when we hold on to these dense emotions of, guilt and shame from maybe abuse or whatever has happened in our lives, that is a really dense frequency to hold. And I've done a lot of research with Dr. not Joe Dispenza, Dr. David Hawkins. And he talks about, with applied kinesiology, they can muscle test and see, the scale of consciousness, and the lowest frequency that the body can hold is shame. So when our patients aren't healing, it's about looking at that. What are they holding on to? Is it that they're ashamed that they were sexually abused? And that manifests, I've seen that so many times, as endometriosis or something else, because again, you're holding on to this frequency in your body and it's manifesting. And even, I see this a lot with my pharmacist clients too. If you're ashamed, how are you holding yourself? You're not going to show up confidently. So a lot of the work that I do too is like bringing that, transmuting that shame into, you know, how can we see this differently? How can we help you actually feel to heal? I know everybody's heard that one, because it's energetic. It needs to be released. It needs to be liberated so that your body can heal itself, because these blocks are in the way. These emotions are creating this density that is then, then the person has thoughts of, oh, I'm not good enough, and da 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 da. But that's what I'm saying. It's a multi-dimensional approach to healing, because it's not just, in my opinion, it's not just conventional medicine. That's very, like, 3D, then 4D is like, maybe some of the functional medicine. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Maybe that's like the bridge. And then what is the true healing? So I feel like that's kind of the next, like I said, paradigm that I really want to, champion, because I've been talking about this for a while, but now I feel like is the time for us to really awaken to this. And I agree. I think it was with COVID. I think that was like a huge global awakening of people seeing what's not workable and what they really want, both for their career, for all of these different aspects of their life. And I think that everything is lining up for this movement, for this to happen right now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And, again, I feel like it's so important for people to come here in person to this conference and experience it. If you are listening to this live and you're like, oh, heck yes, I'm all in for this, then obviously you already know. If you're listening to this and you're like, wait, what's muscle testing? Like me, that was me. Prior to February, did not know what that was, did not know what applied kinesiology was, did not know
Yeah.
any of these other modalities, right, that are being used in this space until I experienced them for myself.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay. Again, like I thought I've done, it's like the same story again, from going from a conventional into a functional and being like, oh, wow, I didn't know what feeling optimal health felt like until I did a
Hmm.
functional medicine approach. And now I didn't know what this consciousness feeling and this awareness and this just next level of life felt like until I went through this personal transformation myself over the
Yeah.
last 6 months, really. And it, again, it all started with this book, right? Like writing this book chapter and taking some steps into this space that I just felt called to.
Yeah.
And now there's just so many more people that are coming together and, again, working to collaborate and really contribute to the world in this beautiful and amazing way. So it's exciting. And again, if you're like, I don't know what this is, I understand like parts of the conversation, but this feels really different than like the functional medicine stuff that we've been talking about for the last, since 2017, when this Facebook group started. It's because it is different. There is so much more out there. And it's going to be really exciting to start to, again, bridge that gap and start to unlock even more modalities and ways to truly have this integrative, holistic, beyond functional medicine version of healing, in my opinion. So come to the conference.
Yeah.
Again, lots of amazing speakers there, lots of training, food, fun, dancing, because again, even movement in the traditional sense, like becomes so like, oh, exercise, fitness, raw, masculine, like forced, right? But can you truly open up and be free and just dance and be uninhibited? Like, is your nervous system ready for that? And
I'm
how can
so
we get you
tempted
there?
to like say, I'm not gonna, because I don't want to give it away, but like, yeah, if you come, you're gonna be blown away. Like, I'll just say that, especially Saturday night. But yeah, it is like, I love that you brought that up too, like the masculine, where rigidity lives in the body, and like you're gonna be opening up, you're gonna be shifting and releasing and opening your heart. I wanted to say that as you were talking, that came through, and it was just like, I imagine what it would be like if you opened your heart to the infinite possibilities that exist for just loving yourself, as corny as that sounds, and being like, I am such a champion for myself that I am willing to go and do something that's totally outside my comfort zone because I have connected with myself and I know who I am. And it's a remembrance. And that's what awakening is. It's deconstructing and releasing all of the programming that we've been taught, that we have to stay in this box and that I can only be this way, and being willing to release that, to remember who you are as a healer, as a light worker, as someone that is here for massive transformation for your patients, for your family, and creating that ripple effect in the world. Those are the people that I want coming. You're like, hell yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to awaken to my own power, to my own love, so that I can pour that from overflow into the world. That is you being a healer. And so often we're in the survival mode, we're in the overwhelm. And so I want to help you shift that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, are there any other last words of wisdom or things that people should know about signing up for the conference, right? I know right now we're in the early bird timing, so it's buy one, get one free on tickets. Tell us a little bit more about what that entails.
Yeah. So when I got, like I said, I just follow my guidance, and what came through was like the buy one, get one. I love that because I feel that a lot of people do like to come with someone to a conference. I've had that a lot with my past Elevate retreat members. So that just came across my heart. And I was like, you know what? I want to offer that because I know that bringing along a business buddy can really be so comforting. And to just kind of have someone there with you to walk through that experience. Of course, we're going to be having, different group experiences and you're going to be connecting. But I love that idea. So yes, we have the early bird right now happening until the 22nd. Anybody who's watching this Facebook Live, I would like to give you a fast action bonus. If you sign up for the conference before the 20th, I'm going to give you my Making the Leap from Retail workshop, which is a 2-hour deep dive where I show you how to, launch your profitable business. We go through some transformation work in there as well. It's such a powerful 2-hour recording that you can watch. There's also a workbook. So that's a typically, that price point is typically $300, but you get it for free. So if that's something that you're wanting, just, use the link that we're going to drop and I will send that to you.
Yes, I love it. And I think that would be so perfect again for so many of our members in this group that are in retail settings or, any really traditional pharmacy setting, right? And almost kind of like a good little primer, right? Of
Yep.
like what to expect and some things that you could start to work on now so that whenever you show up to this conference, you can already be like one step ahead, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. That's exactly it. Love
it. Well, Christina, thank you so much again for spending some time in the group this evening. And I'm so excited for this conference. Again, it's May 5th through the 7th in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I know all of my Ohio peeps, Kentucky peeps, Indiana, Pennsylvania, are Midwesterners. This is for you. Definitely get here. If you're outside of the Midwest, like come check out Cincinnati. It's a beautiful city. And it's going to be so much fun with everyone who's going to be there. Just really can't wait. It's going to be amazing. And for those of you who did not see, I will actually be there with the RPH Ally team. So last night we did a live over on LinkedIn with Kevin Walker.
Yeah.
A little bit about that, just so you all know. We are going to be partnering with RPH Ally in order to bring functional medicine to even more pharmacists through that platform, since a lot of pharmacists are still not aware of functional medicine. I feel like everybody knows at this point, but there's still people out there who haven't heard about it.
Students don't know. We got to hit those students, man. Students are invited too to the conference, but yeah,
yes,
I agree.
Yes, definitely. So if you're a pharmacist and you have students, then by all means, please invite them. They are most certainly going to benefit so greatly from this as well. Yeah. So we'll drop the link for you to sign up and register for the conference in here in the live. We'll also send out a replay and everything for you all. But yes, get signed up, take fast action, get your bonus, and get your buy one, get one ticket. So that way we can bring in so many amazing people to this conference to transform healthcare together.
I love it. I can't even add anything else to that. You ended it perfectly.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see you around the group and in Cincinnati.